Well, we've finally done it, Sean. After weeks and weeks of us talking about what are the Chiefs going to do? How much more injured could we be? What, what, I mean, how can we keep winning with whatever group that we're putting on the field? The Chiefs have finally gone out and done it. Not just done it, but they've gone out and gotten a guy that we've been flirting with for years. The last handful, probably the last 4, 5 years.
At least the last 4 or 5. It's weird that we finally get him in his old age, but we finally get him.
Finally
We
get him.
talked
DeAndre,
tremendously about him last year. Like it seemed like it was every week
I
up
mean,
there for
I
a
was
point in the
I was the only
offseason.
one who didn't want him. And last year it really didn't make sense. Last year it didn't make sense. We didn't realistically need him, especially for the price that he was going to command and did command. But it made sense. DeAndre Hopkins is finally a Kansas City Chief. The Chiefs can stop worrying about having a necessity there. I think we could still use maybe another piece. There's obviously some pieces that we could use at some other positions as well, but the number one wide receiver is wrapped up for the Kansas City Chiefs for the 2024 season. We'll have to figure out what happens in 2025 after the season is over. But for the remainder of the season, from week 8 through hopefully the Super Bowl, not a problem that we have to really worry about.
Yep.
Was a fifth round pick that can conditionally be a sixth or a fourth
Fourth.
round pick. The conditions on this are DeAndre Hopkins, the Kansas City Chiefs have to make the Super Bowl, and DeAndre Hopkins also has to accumulate 60% of the snaps for the remainder of the season. So as long as he makes the 60% snap count and the Kansas City Chiefs do make the Super Bowl, then we'll owe them a fourth. If either one of those things don't happen, then we only give them the fifth round pick. That's going to be like pick 150 or so. So
And it
I
worked
don't
out
mind.
best. It really worked out best because we do have two third-round picks next year. So keeping those early picks is going to be very valuable to us, at least.
Especially with the needs that we're going to have, right? We're going to have
And we're
middle
going to have
linebacker
some
open. We're
needs.
going to have right guard open. We're going to have some receiver positions open, not only due to injury but also potentially suspension. We're going to have some defensive line. We're going to have other areas to focus on, but we don't have to worry about that right now. What are your thoughts? I mean, you have said you really like this. You really wanted him last year when he signed, with Tennessee for a boatload of money, comparatively for what he should get. And there's a lot of things going on right now with DeAndre Hopkins as well. But why do you initially like this?
He is a big contested ball catcher. We don't really have one of those receivers. I mean, you could say Travis Kelce is one, but he really isn't. He's a tight end. He plays like a receiver, but it's a completely different target for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. I want to see if he gets the connection with him early and if he trusts him to actually throw him the ball in those tight coverages and just see DeAndre Hopkins come down with it. Because one thing we know is DeAndre will not drop the ball. He has, I believe, a 1.6 drop rate over his whole entire career.
Pretty
And the
good.
Chiefs, on average, have what, 6.8 at least, if not higher?
Probably higher.
Probably higher. It's not good. But the way I found out about this news shaked my whole entire day up. I drove to work early. I get there at like 6 a.m. probably around there. Go upstairs. My buddy sitting right behind me. He's talking. Dude, I just picked up D Hop in 3 of my leagues. I'm like, what do you think he's going to do the rest of the year? He's like, oh my God, you haven't heard? It's like, heard what?
Dude,
And
that's rough.
immediately, all of a sudden, right as he said that, my phone lit up. DeAndre Hopkins traded to the Chiefs. I'm like,
Oh man. The how is he in 6-man leagues? Like, how is DeAndre Hopkins available in 3 leagues for this guy?
I had maybe 10-man leagues, but I know some 12-man leagues. But I mean, what has he done this year for you to roster him?
Be DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, you should always have him rostered for some way, shape, or form.
You should, but the way he's been playing, there's no way. There's just no way. He has not been that good this year.
No, I agree. He hasn't been good enough to play, and obviously that is has a lot to do with whatever's going on in Tennessee. But for you don't start him, but have him rostered is a dead giveaway. He's not available in any of my leagues that I'm in.
Yeah, I played a guy who had him last week. He had 1 point, and he had to start him because he had everybody else hurt or on the bye week. So
That's rough.
glad I had him last week.
What are your expectations for this guy coming in at $2.8 million? I think is what it is. His cap hits around three. We had a little over four available. So we've still got some money to play with. It's been reported that the Chiefs aren't done. I would expect if a trade happens that it's going to be most likely on the defensive side, probably at cornerback, given Jalen Watson's broken ankle. If a free agent comes in, I would expect that to be wide receiver position, probably like a Hunter Renfro on a vet minimum deal that still fits within the structure and the cap space available. But what makes you so excited? What are your expectations? I asked what made you excited. What are your expectations? Because there's a lot of fans out there for the Kansas City Chiefs that some are really high on him and think that he's going to come in and do a big job for us. There's some that are tempering expectations. Where do you fall along with that?
I'm teetering more along the lines of I'm very high on him, but I know there's going to be a lot of drawback with him. It's going to take him a while to get used to the Andy Reid playbook, but he's a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing out there. He's going to play this Sunday and probably get a touchdown. He's going to be a great red zone target. He's going to get a lot of attention away from Travis, away from everybody else out there who's just running routes at this point, Sky Moore. Uh, but yeah, he's going to be out there. He's going to catch some balls, and he's going to be very effective in the red zone for us.
There's 10 weeks left in the season. Do you expect him to get like 100 yards a game roughly? That he ends the season with 1,000 yards receiving in Kansas City, or what are you kind of expecting there?
I'm going to go ahead and just go out on a limb here and say he's going to finish with 54 catches for 656 yards and 4 touchdowns.
About a 60-yard average per game. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So we're aligned here.
He's gonna have some big games, but he's also gonna be reeled back
Yep.
in some.
The reason why I'm not like super excited for this is it's 32 years old. He's only got so much gas left in the tank. He's lost a couple of steps. He's not very fast off the line. He's not a deep ball threat. Um,
He's never
uh,
been a deep ball threat. He's a
he's
contested
never
catch.
necessarily he's been a contested catch guy, but he's also been able to do that down the field. It's been a contested catch down the field on a vertical seam. He hasn't been able to blow past people like Tyreek Hill, but he's been able to be fast enough to get down the field.
Out
That
there,
that
yeah.
part of his game is now gone. It has been. Maybe it happens once as a
I think
Kansas
it's
City
a
Chief.
lot of the quarterback play in Tennessee.
Yeah, but don't
He was doing
expect.
that last year with Will Levis.
Yeah, I mean,
He had a
I'm
few deep bombs.
don't expect a 20 plus yarder to happen too often as a Kansas City Chief. Air yards, I mean. Maybe he breaks a
Don't
tackle, maybe yards after catch, but
I would expect more 20 plus yard catches of him than 5 yard catches and 15-yard yaks.
yeah. I mean, I would as
He's not
well.
going to get a lot of
He's
yards after catch.
nope, nope. Hasn't usually been a piece of his repertoire in his career, and it won't be now, most definitely, especially now that like I said, he's lost a step. The other thing to mention about this,
I hope he proves you so wrong.
where my hesitancy is, he is still dealing with a knee issue. He actually was thinking at the beginning of the season, it's been reported at the very beginning of the season that he was actually going to miss a portion of this season, probably half of it, because he was going to go in and have surgery for, I believe he's got like some partially torn meniscus. So he's still
Hey,
dealing with
hey,
a knee injury.
he fits right in with us then.
He fits right in. So I'm hoping that he can stick around because here's where my excitement comes from. I am going to, I'm caveat all this with he's got a knee injury. He's old. I We haven't really seen a whole lot of what he can bring to the table in Tennessee because there's a lot of things going on in Tennessee. Not just him, but there are a lot of issues of factors that he can't control, you know. But what I'm most excited for him as a Kansas City Chief, if he can stay healthy, if he can stay out on the field, the one thing that we've been missing is another option to go to on a consistent basis. And what that means is he's also a consistent threat to other teams. It's not necessarily that he's a consistent target for the Kansas City Chiefs, but a threat to the defenses. What does this do? Well, we've now got a running back in Kareem Hunt because Isaiah Pacheco is out. It's not like we didn't have one. We just didn't have one when he broke his leg. Now we've got a running back. So the safeties have to play up. The safeties already have to consider the run game that's there. And now you've got, and then you had Travis Kelce, who was double and triple covered. If nobody else was out there, they never had to be covered. You could just play zone all game, and that's really what was happening. Was the safeties could play up, stop the big breakout runs, and then you also double, triple cover Travis Kelce. You don't really have to worry anywhere else. That's why Patrick Mahomes has been throwing for 100, 150 yards a game. But now you've got DeAndre Hopkins out there, and now you kind of have to respect it. You can't double and triple cover Travis Kelce every single snap. You've now got to worry about whatever threat DeAndre Hopkins provides. He's not going to be Nuke Hopkins out there. It's going to be DeAndre Hopkins.
But
But
his presence alone.
his presence alone will make defenses respect him. So now we're no longer double and tripling covering Travis Kelce every single play. Now you got that probably, I would say that 8 to 17 yard mark with whatever routes that DeAndre Hopkins can run there. That's what you have to worry about. Which, guess what? That opens up all the plays for Travis Kelce, who likes to run those mid routes in breaking and out breaking. And that also is going to start opening up any unders that come through from the slot receivers that hopefully aren't named Sky Moore, hopefully are named McCole Hardman, even though
Hey, hey,
we
hey,
don't
he's
really
gonna
like
get
Carey.
Sky's gonna get a catch this week. I'm calling it. It's the Raiders. I mean, who else can he not get a
Probably
catch
going to get a
against?
touchdown. Who knows? But it opens up those unders. It opens up the in breaking and out breaking routes for Travis Kelce. It's going to make sure that DeAndre is respected and keep something open. But what those things do, you've got the safeties who have to play down because of the run game. Then you also have to respect that 8 to 17 yard mark for DeAndre Hopkins. Now you have to respect the in breaking and out breaking routes that Travis Kelce loves to run so much. This is all absorbing around a couple different players having to watch the hats of the offensive linemen more than you've had to against the Kansas City Chiefs in a couple of years. What does that mean? Over the top, Xavier Worthy is now going to be open more often than not. Now, the other question is we've had those open. What's the left tackle going to do? Well, now we can start moving Travis Kelce or running still 12-man instead of 14-man personnel. And now we can have somebody chip that left edge who's coming in off that left tackle who hasn't been playing well, no matter who's there, whether it's Wanya or whether it's Kingsley Suamatia. You now have that chip there. Patrick Mahomes has a little bit more time to step up in the pocket and throw that over the top because safeties are playing up. They're playing a little bit more to the side. You can't play zone as much. Now you have to play a little bit more man to man. Maybe it's 2-on-1 or whatever it is. But adding DeAndre Hopkins now adds in so much more to what this offense can do. And hopefully, as long as whatever's going on at left tackle can get cleaned up, now we've got Xavier Worthy for the deep shots.
Yeah, and one thing we're kind of glossing over here is DeAndre Hopkins can he can find the spots in the zone very, very well.
Oh yeah.
So I think on the breakaway plays, whenever Patrick's just scrambling out there, he's going to be able to find him a lot and have some pretty amazing highlight catches on that. Now,
Well, and
I was
yeah,
thinking about this as well because what other team or had an old receiver who traded him to a dynasty and ended up doing great?
Randy, of
I'm not.
course.
It's the full comparison, but I think we
Randy
can
was
see
much
little.
younger, a
Yes,
lot
but I
faster.
think we can see a little bit of revitalization out of DeAndre Hopkins for this run. He's playing for a Super
I
Bowl
think
instead
so.
of just a shitty team.
Yeah, no, and they're two totally different players there, but I think you're right in that aspect. And I think what makes me happier about this situation, as much as you guys know that I wanted Deontay Johnson, we didn't have to give up as much for DeAndre Hopkins as we would have had to for Deontay. Deontay would have been forward thinking, not present thinking. Now we get present thinking, knowing what it is that's needed, a veteran presence, somebody who um, very much like what Amari Cooper would have been had we have wanted him. We clearly didn't because we didn't entertain that option. Knowing Patrick Mahomes' game, I think DeAndre Hopkins fits that a little bit better. You want a guy who can roam around, like you were talking about, fit in those pockets very much like Travis Kelce does on a play breakdown. You've got a veteran guy who's been doing that almost the entirety of his career. I can see in 3 steps into this route that this isn't going to work. Boom, I'm switching it up. Let me find the pocket of space to sit in. Like he's the type of player that Travis Kelce is just on the outside in a wide receiver body. So as long as he can stay healthy, I think the league's going to be put on notice, and that doesn't mean that he's going to go out and get 100 yards per game. It's not. It's not. Don't expect that. He's not coming down with 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns or whatever. 60 yards a game, 4 catches a game, 4 or 5 catches a game. Like that's the expectation. If you think anything more than that, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be unhappy with this move. We got him for a 5th round pick, so don't expect old Nuke Hopkins out there. It's going to be DeAndre, not Nuke.
Now, are you going to change your mind later in the season where he has a game of what, say, 8 catches, 135 yards, 2 tutties?
No, because I'm expecting that. I'm expecting to see a game where he goes off and he goes crazy. I'm going to be really happy about that, right? But the expectation is that it's going to be
He's gonna come
averages.
back down. He's gonna go back
It's
to
going to be
average.
averages. There's going to be a
Yeah.
couple of games where he has 2 targets and no catches, right? And it's not because maybe he doesn't drop the ball, right? But the defenses are playing up on him, and or Patrick has to throw it away or whatever. Like they're targets, they're not actual drops, right? And so there's going to be games where he has two targets and no catches, and then there's going to be a game 3 weeks later where he has 8 catches on 120 yards and he comes away with 3 touchdowns, just like Kareem Hunt had 3 touchdowns last week. Don't expect to ever see that again the rest of the season. As much as
He only had
did he
two.
only have two? I
Yeah.
thought he got in there for that's right. They took the third one away. Don't expect him to be close to 3 touchdowns again this season. Like that's just not that's not the expectation that should be there.
Until the playoffs. Then I'm calling it
Maybe
every
in the
game.
playoffs. Maybe in the playoffs. Then it happened. Then we scored 9 touchdowns again. Fine, whatever.